All right, so you're out on the ranch. You're just got back from a horseback ride, and you want to make a quick risotto. Something simple. I mean, again, I'm known for my steaks, my meat cooking, and that sort of thing. Of course, my bolognese, hard to forget. But right now, we're just going to make a simple risotto, and it's going to be a quick thing that you can make at home and easy to do. But one of the critical things that you have to do is have an onion, and also maybe a scallion if you can. And then you got to make a vegetable stock, which is really hard. I mean, that takes like 3 days. But say you made some of that, you have it in the freezer and you save that up, then take 32 ounces of that. Or if you're gonna cheat, you can get that. And here we go. We're gonna start cooking some risotto, simple. Okay, so always start with your favorite knife and don't cut your finger off with it like I did that. But now it's healed. There it is, right there. So we're going to, one thing about cleaning an onion and cutting it up is that if you get into the root and that sort of thing, it will burn your eyes. So try to avoid that for as long as you can. I mean, at some point, you have to, but try not to get into the root too much. I like go like, not everybody does it the same way, but you get that outer shell off that you don't want to cook or eat. And then you can do all kinds of things to try to chop this thing up and avoid the cutting the root off. And until you cut the root off, a lot of people don't know this, it won't burn your eyes. Hold this thing together, bring this thing up like so, and then you're gonna get a bunch of chopped pieces of onion, which for this really simple risotto that we're making tonight, listen, we've made all kinds of risotto for you, but tonight we're just gonna use a really basic, simple chopped onion. Yeah, smash it like a garlic a little bit, that'll help. And then we're gonna break the outside off of this. I know this is not what you see on the other TV shows. This is a little rougher treatment with all this stuff. And then, but right now, scallion's gonna come out. We're gonna cook it pretty thin. Okay, so then we're gonna chop that up. All right, so as I said, we're only gonna use half the onion. This is a risotto for two and it's simple. Scallion, onion, chopped. There's the other half. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do with that. But because we, we're now into recycling and sustainability and everything else, we'll find something to do with that. Okay, for this, we're just gonna use, instead of the giant big pan over there, that big one in the middle, we're gonna use something, to show you my hand. We're not gonna use a lot of butter in here, maybe 1.5 tablespoons. We're gonna get this olive oil hot. We're gonna coat the bottom of this pan. We're gonna put this olive oil in here. Bring that camera up here and look at it sizzle. We're gonna get this hot. We're gonna let that sizzle. And when something weird's gonna happen, especially if you don't have it too hot. We're sizzling and we're cooking, but we're not gonna burn this no matter what we do. Turn that heat down a little bit. Do not burn your olive and butter. Get your butter 100% melted. And then typically what will happen, turn your heat down just a little bit, is your butter will kind of just settle down and it'll stop sizzling, believe it or not. It'll just kind of get absorbed into the olive oil. That's what we're looking for. We're still melting a little bit. Okay, now we've got olive oil. We've got the perfect temperature, and it's gonna settle down. And they've settled down. That's when you put so that is when your olive oil and your butter are perfectly mixed. When that sizzling stops happening, a lot of people, little salt and pepper in there. We always have a hard time finding our salt and pepper shaker because we never put it back in the same place twice. I'm guilty of that too. Don't forget Nicolas Elazari. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. French olive oil. I cook almost everything with it. You can get it on Amazon. What we're gonna do is we're not gonna use too much risotto because this is gonna expand a ton. I'm just cooking simple risotto again for 2 people. So I'm just gonna use like, see this? That's a handful. I'm gonna drop it right into my mixture here. Maybe another little half a handful. That's probably 3/4 of a cup, maybe less than a cup. Don't use more than that for simple risotto for 2 people, or you'll end up throwing a bunch of it away, or you'll end up being really sick to your stomach later on. We're gonna turn the heat up when we do this, because what we wanna do is toast this risotto. Risotto is like a certain type of rice from Italy that has a super hard outside coating. So you could cook this all day long or whatever, but what we're gonna do is toast the outside. That's gonna allow this to absorb the stuff that we want it to, the wine and the vegetable stock that I cooked all night long and that sort of thing. Been toasting this risotto, the rice, with the onion and the scallops in there. So far, just a little bit of olive oil and butter. And I'm just gonna pour, you're gonna hear a big circle here. Don't get carried away with this. It will create almost like a lemony flavor. I used the Chardonnay from last night. You can use some leftover. We're gonna let that absorb right into the rice. You can use more if you want to. I think the more that you put in there, it almost overpowers. And again, the idea here is simple. We're making simple risotto. So we're just gonna coax it in there. We're gonna mix it in there. This is a pretty hot heat. Now, because risotto is a thing that you have to nuance, we're gonna turn the heat down because we just don't wanna just be burning all this in there. You wanna use that hot heat until you start going to the ladle. But when you start ladling this vegetable stock that I worked on all night long, it's gonna boil a little bit the first time around. We're gonna put a good bit of it in there. We're gonna cook that into the rice. We're gonna stir, otherwise it'll stick, and nobody likes sticky risotto at all. Okay, now what you're seeing is perfect. It's about 10 minutes in. We've been putting broth and dipping it in there as it cooks down. We're letting our rice absorb this broth. This is something, folks, if you rush this, your risotto will suck risotto. So don't rush this. It's like a medium heat. Let it cook in there. It's gonna take 20 or 25 minutes. I'm gonna put a little more in right now. You might use 3/4, and you could possibly even use the whole 32 ounces of that. We're gonna also salt this. Nobody uses enough salt, and sometimes you're sorry and regret that. We're gonna put a little pepper in here at this point. That's what makes it simple. There's like 6 ingredients. So now we're just gonna let that keep cooking. It's going well. In a little bit, we're gonna do the dip test. Now we're about 15 minutes in. You can totally see this is expanding. It's absorbing all this vegetable stock in. The famous dip test. There was my half onion. I still haven't figured out what to do with that. So, let's go off from that. So that's al dente est.
What?
Al dente est means too much al dente. So,
How about me?
So, it's getting really close.
Can I taste?
Yes. We're gonna put 3 more little scoops of this in there. It's gonna take every bit of that. we're just gonna keep it going. I didn't say it was fast, I said it was simple, because it is simple. I haven't really done that much. 22 minutes in, and let me tell you something. There is a perfect spot. That's why we do the dip test. If you overcook this stuff, it will take like 1 extra minute to turn into onion mush, which is gross. You don't want that. So right now, we've cooked down the last bit of sauce we're gonna put in there. 2 tablespoons of butter in there, because that's what Kim Tucci would have done. We're gonna just mix that butter in there. You don't have to put that much butter in there. If you're against butter, if you're one of those kind of people, if you're on a diet, well, if you're on a diet, don't even eat this in the first place because it's terrible for you. There's nothing good about this for you if you're on a diet. But we're gonna put that butter in there. We're gonna cook that in there. That's gonna add that's salted butter. And then we'll get it flat, get it level in there. And then we're gonna sprinkle. And I'm just gonna say, for simple risotto, a couple little sprinkles. That might not even be 1/4 cup, which is also 2 ounces. I just learned that tonight. That's also equal to a shot that goes into an old fashioned. 2 ounces, plus a little maple syrup, plus a little cream de cocoa, plus a little bit of
That's another video.
orange bitters. Oh, that's another video, the old fashioned. Anyway, so this is this. And then we'll show you how to serve this in just a second. But
See how thick it
that
is.
is the finished product right there. Sometimes wine, sometimes beer, sometimes a cocktail. Tonight we're having a couple glasses of water in our rosebud glasses. We're gonna have a little salad with blue cheese dressing, some Hawaiian rolls, of course my famous New York strip steak, and then here comes tonight's special. Ta-da! All right, it did take 26 minutes or something like that, but this is your simple risotto. It's perfect every time. It's really hard to mess up. It's super flavorful. And then tonight, as a special, I actually put the Parmesan that you'll top it with in a glass bowl, because that's, a special way to do it. And that's it, your simple risotto. Try it.